There is a very famous story told of one bold African king by the name of Attah Oboni I of Igala Kingdom, who fearlessly refused to remove his sacred head cap before Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II in show of respect, reverence, and humility to the Queen. Now, history has it that King Attah Oboni I resisted colonial pressure to bow before the Queen of England and remove his sacred head cap in submission to her rule, not because he was arrogant or disrespectful, but mainly because in doing so, he would have violated cultural taboos and thereby dishonored his ancestors. According to the Igala tradition, the king's head cap was sacred and therefore could never be removed for anyone, especially in public. Yet the colonial administration had mandated that all traditional rulers of Nigeria formally recognize Queen Elizabeth II as a sovereign by including strict protocols such as removing head caps whilst in the queen's vicinity. But unlike other traditional rulers who had willingly submitted to the British colonial rule, Attah Oboni I of Igala Kingdom refused to bow to a foreign monarch, viewing it as a sign of spiritual and cultural submission forbidden in Igala Kingdom. But before we get to the crux of the story, let us first briefly review the background of this audacious king. Attah Oboni I was the 25th Attah Igala or King of Igala Kingdom, located in the middle belt of Nigeria. Attah Oboni was born around 1911 and ruled Igala Kingdom from 1945 to 1956. Legend has it that Attah Oboni was no ordinary king. As a matter of fact, the people of Igala Kingdom believed that the spirits of their ancestors walked in their king's shadow such that he could speak with the river Niger and even command rain to fall. To put it plainly, Attah Oboni was believed by many to be supernatural, for he was empowered by his ancestors. As a king of the Igala people, Attah Oboni served as the paramount traditional ruler, spiritual custodian, and a cultural symbol of unity for the people of Igala. And by choosing to uphold his traditional authority over the demands of the British Empire, Attah Oboni became a symbol of anti-colonial defiance. The year was 1956 when Attah Oboni I met Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II during her royal visit to Nigeria as part of her scheduled assembly with the northern Nigerian traditional rulers. Legend has it that Attah Oboni, amongst other traditional rulers, had traveled up north to Kaduna for a meeting with the Queen of England. But upon meeting her, Attah Oboni violated the royal protocol by refusing to remove his sacred head cap and bow before Her Majesty the Queen. And when the other traditional rulers insisted upon it, Attah Oboni reluctantly gave a head bow, but upon being forced to remove his royal sacred head cap, a swarm of bees mysteriously emerged from his cap, causing those in attendance to flee for their safety and thereby disrupting the meeting. Attah Oboni was arrested immediately following the bee incident and was roughly handcuffed and locked in a room by the British colonial authority. But to their surprise, those handcuffs fell off mysteriously and Attah Oboni disappeared from the room he was locked in. From then on, the life of Attah Oboni, king of the Igala Kingdom, was never the same again. He faced imminent dethronement following false accusation by his own people of human sacrifices, compounded with the pressure from the British colonial forces together with the northern leaders for him to step down as king of the Igala Kingdom. As they say, every man has a breaking point, and for Attah Oboni, his breaking point was when he was forcefully dethroned from power as king, a decision which ultimately ended his life. In the year 1956, Attah Oboni I of Igala Kingdom unalived himself as a result of the pressure brought onto him through a clash of traditions. Attah Oboni, the king of Igala Kingdom, was not able to live in a world where traditions of his forefathers were not paramount to those of a foreign monarch. In the end, Attah Oboni I of Igala Kingdom refused to betray the traditions of his forefathers, and instead, with respect and dignity, he opted to join his ancestors in the afterlife.